Hello, everyone. I'm Sophia Parola with Garden State Film Festival, and today I am here with Alex Alessi. He is the man behind the making of the feature film When Everything's Gone. Congratulations on having your film accepted into Garden State.
Thank you. It's very exciting.
Very exciting. And congratulations on making a feature film in the first place, because that is not easy to do.
No.
So I'd love for you just to introduce yourself and the main titles you have in the film, please.
Sure, absolutely. Like you said, my name's Alex Alessi. My film's When Everything's Gone. So I wrote it, I directed it, I starred in it, and I also did a lot of the post-production editing, stuff like that. So it really was a passion project for me. But at the same time, everyone that was involved made this movie happen, worked long hours, long nights, gave me notes I needed so I didn't get carried away and just put something out there that wasn't what everyone thought was the best movie we could possibly make. So
absolutely, that's so awesome. And for everyone watching, can you give a little synopsis about what your film's about?
Yeah, so the movie follows a character named Rory who believes that he's the last survivor after a pandemic of all things. Didn't even know COVID was going to happen when I wrote it, but yeah. So he thinks he's the last person on Earth, and he's at his lowest point when he starts to discover there's more people. And the film basically follows him as he revisits his tragic past with his brother Chris, and as he starts to search for new people with the new family he's starting to connect with. And yeah, chaos ensues. They go down quite the journey to try and find more survivors and the hope that mankind can champion through and carry on.
Absolutely. Thank you for that wonderful synopsis, and definitely a journey they went down. Absolutely. I mean, Alex, I have so many questions for you, but first off, as you said, I mean, you didn't even know the pandemic was going to happen. So I'm assuming you wrote this before COVID. I'd love to know when you wrote it, what was your inspiration for writing it, and just what was the whole writing process and getting this to its feet?
So I wrote this I think I started writing this one in 2014. So it was quite a while before COVID. But basically inspiration was trying to figure out, well, what kind of movie can you do on a low budget? So I live near woods and where you can kind of pretend there's no one around. And it was like, well, what would happen? And then the idea of basically doing a zombie movie, but what if it was what would really happen? Like usually there's a zombie pandemic and everyone comes back from the dead and stuff. But what if that's not the case? People just die and everyone's got to figure out if they can carry on, and like how would the world handle it? How would governments handle it? So all that kind of came together, and I wrote a draft and started putting things together, got involved with some other people to work on it. You take the notes from them, and it just kind of organically started to come together. And some ideas fell by the wayside, characters were added, lost, changed. I think originally at one point the character played by Gabriel Rush that plays my brother in the film, Chris, he was supposed to be like my best friend or something like that, and just didn't feel right. So we shifted him to brothers, and then we added like more of a family dynamic to the other characters in the film. And there were lots of little things that came. The more people that got involved, the more people that gave me notes, the more the film evolved and became something really interesting to me. And I really feel like the story took a different angle than a lot of post-apocalyptic films, because I felt like I wanted to have a hopeful kind of tinge to it. Because like a lot of movies, like I remember seeing like The Road or like Children of Men. Those were kind of big inspirations while I was working on this. And they are a little dour, but at the same time, all those notes were there of like the way the world might end up being, but the idea that we have to kind of have some hope and really find human connection to make things work out. I think that really carried through every draft. So yeah, that's kind of how it went down. It's just kind of something that was born out of the place around me and what I could do to make a movie.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I mean, you mentioned that you live next to the woods, and that's kind of like what kind of sparked that plot to you. But I mean, one of the things that when I was watching the film blew my mind is the locations. It's like the beautiful woods, and then you had this like beautiful water. It was such beautiful scenery. What was location scouting? Where did you film?
Most of it. So as the movie went on, we were trying to get more budget and stuff like that. And anyone that tries to make their own movie knows how hard it is to get investors. So really what happened was we filmed most of it in my backyard, which is New Jersey. It's out in Millstone, New Jersey. So right by like Six Flags. Yeah. So there's a lot of cool stuff that's just out here, like a lot of great fields and hills. And then there are other scenes we were able to shoot up like in like Rockaway, New Jersey, up in Denville, things like that. So there's so many great landscapes and options to choose from. And then of course, like little tiny visual effects changes that just create an environment where the world is just not full anymore. Like we did little things, like there was a helicopter that made it into a shot and we just edited it out, got rid of it instead of reshooting it. And then I was also able to go to the beach down by Seaside, once again, New Jersey, just so many great landscapes. A great friend of mine had a shore house there they let us film at. So we filmed there, and we made a lot of stuff work out filming there. Actually, there's one shot where it's me standing in the road and the cars, the shot's pulling back like a dolly shot, but it was our cinematographer, William Coffin, in the trunk of a car. Probably not safe, not a great idea. But we only got one shot at that because the police around there are very good at their jobs and found us and said, listen, just don't do it again. It's fine. So we were fortunate with that part, but yeah, I mean, really the locations were just there and they lent themselves really beautifully to the film, especially because it doesn't feel like you're in New Jersey and some parts of Pennsylvania the whole time. It really does feel like there's a journey. I think there's some people that might notice the landscape, like the trees and stuff are of a certain make that are to that area, but outside of that, unless you're an expert in that, yeah, it was all just here in the tri-state area. And we're really thankful we had a lot of great locations like that. And they were free for the most part.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm from Jersey and I didn't really recognize, I think you did an amazing job at using your surroundings and I mean, making it look beautiful on film. I'm sure it is beautiful, but like it really translated so well. And Alex, I mean, I have to ask, what was it like being so many different things on set? You're co-directing it and you also wrote it and then you're producing it and then you have to deal with all these other actors, but then hop into the scene and you're the lead of the film. And there's so many scenes that are driven by you and you're alone and a lot of emotions flying. And just what was the process of being in character and acting, especially so heavily, you know, while also being all those other things?
Well, I mean, I think that having a great team helps a lot. I learned early on, originally, we were supposed to have someone else come in and direct it, and the scheduling just got all messed up. He unfortunately had to drop out on like one of our first shoot days. He's like, I can't be there, oh my God. So I had to pick up the reins, and our assistant director at the time was Jeff Stewart, who ended up co-directing with me. So with his help, it was really great because I can get into character. And if there were like emotional beats and things like that, that I couldn't help an actor with because I was trying to focus on my process, he was really there to help pick up that slack and make sure that I didn't drag at all with any of those things. But I also learned early on, we did scouting. We thought about going up to Maine to film. So it was gonna be like a 9-hour drive, go out there, middle of nowhere. It wasn't feasible, it was a bad idea. But my cinematographer, Will, and I, we drove all the way up. And on that trip, we learned how to talk about our shot list and things like that. So I found pre-production, making sure my cinematographer and his team were on the same page as me. So I wasn't worried about the shots because I knew we had it. I didn't have to check every shot, make sure it was good. We'd frame it up, he'd shoot it, and it would come out really beautifully. He's a really tremendously talented guy. And like his AC, Mike Fernazza, is extremely talented. There were some days he had to step in and shoot. And Will says, those are the most beautiful shots in the movie. He's like, it was amazing. I shouldn't have shot it. I mean, I think they both did a great job. But yeah, I think really what it comes down to is you have to wear a lot of hats. You got to do a lot of things. But if you trust your team, you're in good shape. And when it came down to like directing actors, I didn't have to say much because when I did the casting process, I just used that to pick actors I knew that I wouldn't have to be holding their hands every day. I mean, we went through backstage, and the only actor that really I was like, hell no, he's got to be in the movie was Gabriel Rush, he's insane. He's still super young, but his talent. He was just in a Super Bowl commercial this past year. He was in Tide commercial with Jason Alexander on the shirt and stuff. That was Gabe. But before that, I was scrolling through backstage trying to find casting. He was there, and he was in Moonrise Kingdom by Wes Anderson. And recently he was in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. He's just so talented. So I knew if I cast him, I'm not going to have to hold his hand. He's worked with some of the best people in the industry. He knows what he's doing, and we can just focus on our chemistry. So from there, when I did casting for other people, that's what I looked for. So like Catherine Blades, we had, I want to say like 100 different actresses that auditioned to play Rosie in the movie, and she just nailed it. She was incredible. She was great. And then Alex Emanuel, he was someone that we sort of worked together. We never worked together, but we were in the same movie kind of thing. So like I knew from other people how good he was, and I was friends with him. But yeah, same thing with the process. I knew that he could do it. I knew that if I just went with him, he wasn't going to need me to sit there and say, now your motivation is this, maybe try that a little bit more. He would just go in and get it. And then Jeff would come in, and if he felt like he needed it, he'd give little tweaks to them and to me. Jeff definitely helped me find some moments, especially when I had to have emotional breakdowns or something. He really wanted to push me to that spot. There were certain moments where it literally is just me alone, and I have to kind of lose it. And yeah, like it's good to have someone there to make sure no, you're doing a good job. Like this is working. So yeah, I think that's the only way it works. It's all about working with your team. And if you have confidence in those people, then it makes it so much easier to do everything and get a lot of things done. So.
Absolutely. I mean, that's amazing. They had such a trustworthy, amazing team that can support you and the film, because it shows, it really does. It must have not been easy, but I'm glad you had that team there beside you. My last question for you as we wrap up this interview, one of the biggest questions is, why did you submit to Garden State Film Festival? I know you filmed in New Jersey, which is amazing. I love to hear that. And I just love to know your thoughts about having this acceptance at festival, having people see this feature film. How does it feel?
Well, it feels pretty great. So Garden State Film Festival, back when I was in college, some years ago, whenever that was, I went to Garden State with a friend, and we saw this movie. I'm trying to remember what it's called, but Ed Harris was in it. And so it was this little indie movie with these guys from San Francisco that got into Garden State, and Ed Harris was in it, and it was incredible. It was just, how did they get it? I don't know how this happened. We went to a little party over in Asbury Park to go talk to them and get to know these guys. And it was just, ever since seeing that, feeling what that festival is like, I got to be in it one more time with a short film, maybe a few years after that. But it always just felt like such a great festival. It felt not just to be from New Jersey and be a part of it, but just as festivals go in general. So for me, when I was starting to do my festival list and doing stuff and going for my home run list, really, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start with Sundance. Let's see what happens there, because that's near impossibility. And then the next one up really was like Garden State. For me, it was like Garden State Film Festival is the way to go for me, and it really felt more just because, not just because it's my home state and because I had that experience, but because it's such a fun festival. And I mean, this year obviously is a little different, but yeah, it just feels like such a privilege to be a part of it. And it really feels like one of those upper echelon festivals in my mind. I know we all did a little happy dance when we got into this one, because yeah, it just means that much more being from New Jersey. And it just really does feel like it's going to be a great experience. And I'm really happy that our film's a part of it. So.
Oh, that's so amazing. I'm really happy your film is a part of it as well. And to hear how you feel about Garden State and the fact that you went there and got to meet the filmmakers. I think that's one of the best parts about Garden State is that you could actually, I know it's different this year, but yes, you could feel that love and the passion, and then you get to meet the filmmakers, which is really awesome. And although people might not be able to meet you in person, I'm really happy they get to see this interview and hear more about how you made it and how much it means to you. And like you said, it's a passion project, and it's a beautiful film. I can't wait for people able to see it. Let me talk about how you can see it. It will be premiering virtually in the venue of the St. James, Saturday, March 27th in the film block, 12:15 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. So, I mean, it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to watch it again, along with other films in that block. And congratulations to you and all of your wonderful team who worked alongside of you and made this amazing feature film. And just congratulations on all your successes. And keep Garden State Film Festival always on that list, because we love to see you. Always. Thank you so much, Alex. Congrats.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Is it all really gone? Are there no more monsters out there hiding in the darkness? You can't be real. You can't be real.
We're all lost people. Governments fell, societies crumbled, people hid, scavenged, whatever it took.
Could have left me for dead.
The world's gone to shit. Least we can do is be decent.
What if they can't make it? They're so far.
They'll find a way. Yes. You gotta believe that, man.
This is our best chance to live, and I need to live. I need to know there's more out there.
We can find it. I thought that's the last one I had.
Hey, it's okay. You're one of us. The lucky few.
Find this place. You led us here. Can't all be for nothing.
We have to find them. They could be out there stranded and alone.
Wake up! They're gone, Chris!
It really is the end, isn't it?